Hey, welcome to The Rebels, Chapter 5. Sonia didn't greet me with a hug or worry. Instead, she met me at the driveway entrance, spitting mad. "Where the hell have you been?" she hissed when I limped to the driveway. "I took a nap," I snapped, swiping a sopping sleeve over my sopping face. "That was a freaking convoy! 3 guard trucks, 4 transports loaded with people, and a fucking tank as rear guard." "Wait, what? How do they have a tank working?" "World War II era should work just fine going by the looks of that thing," I said grimly. "We'll need to be extra careful. Those roads weren't built for tank treads. Fuckers." Sonia sighed, leaning against the truck, completely unmindful of the rain. "Easy not to care about a bit of wet when you know you're getting back into a nice, warm, dry truck," I thought irritably. She shook her head, tired. "You know what? Let's worry about this when we've found the army and a safe place to stop. My eyes hurt." She rubbed them, then pinched the bridge of her nose to relieve pressure. I looked down, ashamed. She does just fine with walking, but being nearsighted, Sonia needs glasses to drive. She'd been straining her eyes all evening in the dark, trying to keep us on the road, and then there's me, bitching about her being warm. At least I wasn't killing my eyes to see. "You're right," I clapped her on the shoulder. "Let's get out of here before another truck comes through. We could all use a flat surface and a roof." With the road a bit bumpier, hanging on got harder, the broken asphalt spinning away under our tires. Sonia rolled down her window so I could stick one hand in and get a grip on the handle mounted on the ceiling. I also got a wave of warmth from the heater, and I basked in the glow as she drove. It must have taken half the night, but in the time we began picking our way from blacktop to gravel and back again. Then we went to full gravel. The deluge slowed to a normal rain when we first hit gravel. I'd become so accustomed to the lightning that I don't even remember when it stopped. I was just grateful I wasn't breathing water anymore as I miserably clutched at the handle and the door, trying to stay on board. The truck lurched sometime near dawn, shaking me from my stupor as it passed from a narrow gravel track onto something that looked like 2 deer trails running side by side. "Are you sure this is the right way?" I asked through the window. "Fuck no," Sonia's voice drifted out with the warm air. "But Will said it was in the middle of nowhere, and I'm pretty sure that's where we are." I had to lean in close to the truck to keep from getting swept off by low-hanging branches. Sonia threw the truck into 4-wheel drive, making it easier to navigate the mud. The truck listed sharply as she hit a pothole, and one of my feet slid off the running board. It's a testament to my exhaustion that nearly falling into a blackberry bush didn't even elicit a raised heartbeat. I just gripped my handhold as tightly as my numbed fingers would allow, and my left foot dragged and skipped over the ground until I could pull myself up enough to get both feet back on firmer footing. Alex leaned over and whispered something to Sonia. Son nodded and said to me, "Alex needs to pee." I flattened myself against the truck and tried to suck in my butt cheeks enough to not get scraped off. I stayed on, but the bark made a rasping sound as it dragged across my ass. "There's not enough space to get out yet," I grunted. "I'm really glad I got these pants, otherwise I'd be shredded by now." Sonia snorted. She hugged the passenger side of the track to give me as much space as possible, and it wasn't enough. I was really glad for the pants, though. They were pricey, especially for this day and age, but also tough, made of ripstop nylon and dried quickly, and were comfortable. The cargo pockets were an added bonus. 10 minutes down the road, the blackberries stopped scratching over my legs, and I thumped on the roof. "I think we got enough space here for a stretch." Sonia eased the truck to a stop, but she left the engine running. I stepped down from the running board and nearly fell into a bush, barely catching myself on a low-hanging limb. I clung to the tree for a moment before stumping awkwardly over the ground like a drunken sailor, my feet feeling like a pair of giant, squishy raisins on the end of my legs. I shuddered. Taking off my boots wouldn't be a pretty sight. While I relearned how to walk, Sonia let the kids out of the back of the truck. Ja'ali immediately disappeared behind us, with Cinder trotting after. Alex wasted no time, squatting against the side of the truck to relieve herself. Asilia shifted, holding her legs stiffly and looking longingly at the top of Alex's head, all that we could see of her. Then I realized we could see her. It wasn't light by any means, but the trees had a faint silhouette instead of blending with the gloom. Sonia gave Asilia some of the wet wipes we always carried on hikes, and a few tips on how to avoid peeing on her shoes. The girl seized both gratefully and disappeared in the opposite direction from her brother. Alex groaned and used the truck to get herself upright. Leaning on it, she made her way around to me and Sonia, wincing when she extended her leg too far. "How are you holding up?" I asked her. "I'm here. I want..." She stopped, looking down at her empty hands, and cleared her throat. "I want to wake up and find out this was all just a bad dream. If not, then I want to be safe and try to process." She choked, then began crying, dry little sobs. Sonia and I froze, staring at each other. There's a reason I'm a mechanic. I'm not good at peopling. Sonia, if anything, is even more awkward than I am. I remembered tons of hugs from a variety of people after my mom died, but fuck it. I couldn't stand to listen to her weeping, so I reached out and tentatively laid a hand on her shoulder. When I wasn't rebuffed, I stepped closer, giving her every chance to say no. Instead, she turned in and pressed her face to my shoulder. I patted her back and rocked her gently, like mothers do for their babies, and waited it out. Ja'ali and Asilia came back while Alex grieved, and Asilia carefully wrapped her arms around Alex from behind. We held her sandwiched between us until she finished crying. "Thanks," Alex whispered, sniffing and wiping her nose on her sleeve. Then she made her way slowly around the truck to clamber into the passenger seat, scooping up Obelix as she went. "Time to go, guys," I said, walking stiffly back to the truck. An eternity later, I lightly thumped the cab. Sonia halted the truck, and in the pre-dawn light we could just make out a hidden gate amongst the bushes and trees. I stepped down from the boards to stagger slowly over to the gate. Sonia and Alex made their way over, closely followed by the kids. Cinder declined to exit the bed and join us in the drizzle, preferring to stay in the cozy nest he'd made there. Smart dog. We perused the gate for a minute, looking it over carefully. "Is it supposed to be like that?" Asilia asked. "All empty and abandoned?" "We could be at the wrong one," Sonia allowed. "Jake showed me a photo, and this looks right. Finally. Except no one's trying to scare us away. Weird." "We could just follow the road and see where it leads us," Ja'ali said. "Even if it's another wrong turn, at least we're far enough away that those people won't find us." The conversation took a minute too long to seep in. "What do you mean, another wrong turn? When did that happen?" "There were a couple of dead ends," Sonia said, eyeing me. "I take it you don't remember?" "No." "Funny, since you were the one who pointed out that the road ended," Sonia remarked dryly. "Sleep talking again?" Rubbing my face, I mumbled, "Talking, seeing, holding on, standing. The list of my accomplishments while sleeping never ends, apparently. I'm better looking and smarter when I'm asleep, too." I giggled blearily. "Can we just go through the gate already and see where it leads? I'm cold and tired." Sonia and Ja'ali helped me muscle the gate open, then Alex drove the truck through and we closed the gate after us. At first, I wondered why we even bothered closing it, but put it down to me and Son growing up on farms, where shutting the gate is second nature. Then it occurred to me that closing it again makes it look like nobody's been through. Yeah, SMRT smart. That's me. Alex stayed in the driver's seat, and I whimpered at the thought of riding on the running boards much longer. I could have curled up in the mud and fallen asleep. Hang on, we can't be too much further. Think how stupid we'll feel if we fall off and it turns out we're just a few feet from the end. I need to work on my pep talks. The track continued through thick trees for at least another 4 miles. Alex kept glancing at me out of the corner of her eye, looking worried. If the recently beaten lady looks at you worried, you know you look like shit. Just when I thought I'd fall off, we rounded a corner to find the track's end in a small clearing. In the center of the clearing, a tiny bunker hunched like a glowering beast, with a low, grass-covered mound extending about 10 feet behind it. Fir trees surrounded the small meadow, their scent rising in the early morning air. My mom favored evergreen scents when she was alive. The smell brought up memories of home and safety. I shoved the recollections back and tried to shake myself awake as we trooped over to the bunker to examine it. Is this it? Azealia demanded, hands on her hips, a rising edge of hysteria in her voice. This is ridiculous! We'll never fit! Sure we will, Jolly teased. You just won't be able to spend an hour in the bathroom getting your hair perfect. She swiped at him and he dodged, laughing. Guys, I said, getting irritated. I cut off when I saw the slight smile on Alex's face at their antics, and that Azealia focused so much on getting her brother that she'd forgotten to be upset. Jolly, you sly dog, I thought, amazed at the boy's cleverness. Whatever, I said when they looked at me. Just don't wander off. We might have to leave again. So, Sonia drew the word out as she rocked on her feet. What now, O fearless leader? How should we go about this? 1, shut up. I'm not any kind of leader, fearless or otherwise. 2, can't we just try the door? I stumbled closer to the door and stared at it, trying to get my eyes to focus. Here, Alex stepped past me. I've seen these kinds of doors on a submarine once. She grasped a wheel and strained. Me and Sonia jumped in, and between the 3 of us, the handle slowly turned. We're in! I shouted over my shoulder, then doubled over, a racking cough shaking me. Don't die, Sonia said over her shoulder when she stepped into the gloom. Oh, yeah, sure. I'll get right on that, shall I? Stairs led downward just a few steps in, and blackness beyond. I fished a small flashlight out of my pocket, and to my disappointment, it didn't work. The Koreans' lights were working on their cars, I complained, holding up the flashlight. How come this isn't? Do we have any candles? No, wait! Son rushed outside. I did grab some. The storm and all, I thought the power might go out, and Mom never has any. She ripped off the tarp covering the back half of the truck bed and rifled around briefly. Ha! Sonia returned, holding up some candles triumphantly. We got lighters in the backpacks, I pointed to the cab, then sneezed. We'll have to try the lights on the truck, see if they work. Sorry. Jay, stop laughing. No, I mean it. It's rude. I'm trying to read here. All right. We'll have to try the lights on the truck, see if they work. Later. Sonia pushed past me to step back inside the bunker and lit 2 candles. She led the way down, the kids and Alex following while I came in last. The dogs, attracted by the commotion, picked their own way down. Son, I said, my voice cracking with exhaustion, see if you can find a space for us all to fit. We'll bring in the packs and enough for dinner. We can deal with the rest after a good sleep. The first door, on the right, looked like a storage closet. Some cleaning supplies and a vacuum occupied the tiny room. The next door, on the left, proved much more interesting. A huge room full of all kinds of guns, rifles, even some bows and crossbows. It is a testament to the stamina of youth that Jolly immediately tried to explore. I collared the boy before he got too far and yanked him back into the group. Later, I said sternly. We'll come back later. Sonia turned in a circle, holding her candle as high as she could. I think we found the right place. This always looks like what I imagined an armory would. Later, Azealia echoed me. I'm hungry and I want to sleep. We continued down the hall. After passing a few rooms that looked like offices and one big-ass computer room with an electronic map-type thing covering one wall, we finally found a common/dining room. The large room could fit a couple hundred people comfortably, with trestle tables and benches on the right and entertainment points to the left. Couches and a big screen TV in one corner formed a quiet area, with a pool table, foosball, and air hockey tables taking up the rest of that end. Past the tables was a big kitchen clearly visible through large open food service windows. We looked around and I nodded. Good enough. Let's get the gear. I desperately wanted to sink to the floor and never move, but so did everybody. I stumbled wearily back to the truck. It only took 2 trips to get enough for the time being, but holy shit, I hurt. As soon as we brought the last thing in, I grabbed my pack and headed for a corner. Dumping the bag, I began stripping with my back to the room. Right, I called over my shoulder, throat tearing with the effort. This ain't a striptease, so all you people, face the other direction, especially the boy. That earned me a couple of giggles and a yelp from Jolly. I huffed an exhausted laugh. Nothing seemed to stop him for long. I had to sit down to pull the boots off, and I clenched my teeth, blowing hard to stay calm. I'd learned a long time ago that the best way to keep moving through pain was to stay relaxed. I unclenched my jaw, deliberately relaxing as I peeled the socks off. The soaked cotton had blood stains where blisters had broken and bled freely. Pulling on dry clothes took an effort of Herculean proportions, though once it was done, I almost felt like a new person. I slowly worked leggings on, whimpering as warmth crept up in the dry clothes wake. Sonia glanced over when she heard me shuffling back. She poured the first pot of heated water into a bowl and brought it over along with a first aid kit, letting Azealia refill the pot and set it to boil. Sonia then grabbed a candle and plonked herself down in front of me. I laid back and stared at the darkness, practicing my deep breathing as she did her best to tend to the raw mess that I now called feet. I wondered how long it would take before they got back to normal. I leaned on Sonia's arm to stand, and even to walk. Alex kept shifting, cocking up on one hip then the other, wincing with every move. Sonia snagged a cushion as we passed the couch, offering it to the injured woman, who took it with a smile that never reached her haunted eyes. I smiled to see the young ones hunched around the stoves, waiting eagerly for food. Courtesy of our home raids, we had 4 small spirit burners and accompanying pots, all of them beginning to steam. We passed around cups and bowls that Jolly had found in the kitchen and wiped clean. Faces puffy from the terrifying days and sleepless nights brightened as we gathered around a table. Packets of hot chocolate were produced from the Mary Poppins-like depths of the packs to the delight of all. Bowls were filled, and we dug in. There's something comforting about hot chocolate. It always seems to me that life wasn't over yet if you had a hot cup in your hands. And that proved true today. The world was upside down, our country invaded, our families missing or in danger, people prisoners in their own homes. We were exiles in an abandoned bunker. But with a hot cup of cocoa in my hands, I could pretend that it was simply another camping trip, that in a couple of days I'd be home, watching a movie with my cousins, or meeting Papa and Sean for Sunday lunch. Looking around at the faces lit by candles, I could see some of the same comfort reflected there. That a beloved child still lived, that Mom and Dad were safe at home, that the family bustled around the house as they got ready for work. Halfway through my cocoa, another bout of shivers took me, followed by a sneeze. "It's bedtime for you, Missy," Sonia said to me sternly. "I don't wanna." "Finish your cocoa and veg. Hup, hup, hup." She clapped her hands briskly. I took a deliberately slow sip from my cup, eyeing her defiantly. "Ooh." Jolly looked between us, black eyes dancing above his own cup. 5 minutes ago, the boy could barely keep his eyes open, Now he's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Lord give me strength. Why do I feel so old? Oh, right. I'd been hanging onto the outside of a truck all night. I tilted my head back, waiting for the last drops of cocoa before setting the cup down and letting Jolly help me to my feet. The injured and elderly, Sonia looked at me as she said the second part, get dibs on the couches. The rest of us can use the pads. There's another couch, Alex pointed out. I'll pass, thanks, Sonia smiled half-heartedly. The sleeping pads are seriously comfortable and don't require extreme gymnastics to get out of. Ja'ali and Azelia looked intrigued at the thought of sleeping on the floor. I didn't care any more where I slept, as so long as I could lie down. Sonia grabbed sleeping bags and quilts from the packs and lobbed them onto the couches while me and Alex made our slow way there. I flopped onto my couch and pulled my sleeping quilt out of the stuff sack. Alex eased her way down, wincing. I tried to stay awake and make sure everything was good, but Sonia pressed a hand to my leg and murmured, "Go to sleep. I've got this." I don't know if she said anything else. My brain shut off and I fell asleep before my eyes shut. I turned over and moaned in pain at the pain in my neck and shoulders. A stubborn line of fire reaching from my head to halfway down my back finally got too much to ignore, and I tried to sit up, bumping against my foot against something firm. I hissed in pain, pulling my knees to my chest. Resting my forehead on my knees, I tried to open my eyes and briefly wondered why I was on the couch and not in my bed. It took a moment before the memories of the last 24 hours returned. "You're awake. Good." Sonia's cheerful voice rattled through my brain. I replied, clutching my head. I worked my tongue in my mouth to wet it. "Water," I croaked. Sonia put a water bottle in my empty hand, and I chugged half of it before I felt remotely satisfied. "Yesterday really happened, didn't it?" I asked hoarsely. "Afraid so. Everybody else is up and walking." "Alex okay?" "Sort of. Come on, we have canned fruit for breakfast. The kitchen is pretty well stocked with non-perishables too, so we won't starve anytime soon." The cold ground felt good on my sore feet until I had to put weight on them. Standing was an exercise and a half. Muscles I didn't even know existed protested my moving, but it had to be done. Sonia wouldn't leave me alone until I got up. Bitch. She filled me in on what they'd found so far as I slowly moved. Whether to keep me distracted or to ease her own nervousness, I don't know. I listened with half an ear to her talk. "We found these little plastic and wooden stick thingies. They were in a desk drawer right next to some pads of paper." She laughed. "Paper! In a desk! This place is seriously weird." "Huh. I wonder what they are." Later, we sat awkwardly around the table, realizing in the evening light that we were now saddled together. A bunch of strangers who'd shared more in the last day than most share in a year. The kids looked a bit nervous, though Azelia did her best to hide it. "Do we have running water in here?" I asked after breakfast. "Dinner. Whatever." "No, but we found a creek not too far away," Jolly said. "The water's really nice. It's where we washed the dishes this morning." I resolved to pay that creek a visit at the first opportunity. He then held up a couple of thin sticks, one made from plastic, one yellow wood. "And I found these too, though I don't really know what they are." I held out one hand. "Can I see them?" He passed them over and I ran a thumb over the points, looking at the marks they left in my skin. "I found them in a desk drawer. Well, Sonia found it, but she let me take a couple of these." I licked the tip of the wooden stick, then grinned. "Son, didn't you have Thornton for history?" She rolled her eyes. "Yes. I just about died of boredom." Too bad you didn't pay attention. Otherwise, you'd already know what these are." I leaned my elbows onto the table, continuing to inspect the sticks, enjoying Son's increasing irritation. "Well, she finally snapped. Are you going to share with the class or just keep all this useless knowledge to yourself? This, I held up the yellow stick, is a pencil. It has a soft lead core that people use to write with. The plastic ones are probably pens. Whoa! Jolly took his pen and pencil back, eyes wide. I heard about these, but I've never seen one before. Acelia, what do you think Dad would do? The boy cut off abruptly and looked down at his cup, blinking rapidly. His sister wrapped an arm around his shoulders, giving him a squeeze. I think we found our destination, I commented, looking around the large room with fresh eyes. It really could fit a couple hundred in here. And then I drew a blank on what to say next. Yay me! We need to get your feet rebandaged, Sonia jumped in. Let's head topside. I found moccasins in your pack. You should be able to wear those. After a round of foot care I don't want to remember, we stopped at the gun room we'd dubbed the armory on the way back in. About the same size as the common room, it was filled with fully loaded gun racks and boxes of ammunition stacked neatly against one wall and under the tables. The others joined us as we walked gingerly through the room. At the back we found the explosives. Landmines, grenades, and shit I couldn't even identify. I looked up from a gun inscribed with the words, "All my love, Lucy," and said, somehow, I don't think they destroyed the guns like they said they would. I am so not feeling reassured about the government's integrity right now. Maybe not, Alex said slowly, but look at how much stuff we have here. Enough to start a war? Starting a war is easy, I said sourly. It's finishing it that can be hard. Think about it, Alex spoke faster now. These guys invade, imprison, and then kill us. This place was supposed to have the army here, but it's empty. Will was out this way 5 or 6 months ago, and they got chased off then, Sonia called out 2 tables down, where she checked out the bows. Right, so the official people have left. I think that means we're not gonna be saved. Alex turned the gun over and over, thinking, like, we have enough here to stay safe, but how can we do that when your families are down there somewhere? When these soldiers have done all the terrible things they did? There was an intensity about her that worried me. Her green eyes were burning and her smile was hard. We can do whatever we want. Why not take the fight to them? Let them know this isn't the easy victory they thought. Do you know how to use a gun? I asked her, because I sure as hell don't. The thought of finding my family was tempting, though. Damn. Acelia looked up from the book she was flipping through. We have instruction manuals for the guns. She held the book up. We all rustled around, and sure enough, there were manuals for every type of gun in there. I skimmed through mine I went back to the front page. Glocks. Okay. Use, care, maintenance, even diagrams for breaking them down and cleaning. Still, I said, it'll be a while before we're ready to go anywhere. We have to think about all the things we'll need to know beforehand and actually train with them until we're competent. I ain't going on no suicide run. As a method to dissuade the others, this failed miserably. Jolly immediately sat down with a manual and started reading. Acelia looked at the guns with distaste, but kept reading her own. We'll need to know hand to hand, Alex announced. I can't see us managing to always get away without getting close. Sonia nodded. Me and Hope spent a couple years learning jujitsu until the dojo closed down, though that was over a year ago. I think with a bit of practice, the skills will come back. She looked at me for confirmation. Let's take the fight to them. The others nodded, watching me intently. I closed my eyes briefly. Fuck it. All or none. I've got some ideas about what we can do, I said, opening my eyes and wishing they didn't feel like sandpaper. But it won't be easy. So ends chapter 5. Thanks for being here.